Okay, let's get through problems 25 through 36 and show you how those work. First of all, a to the 0, it's equal to 1, because anything to the 0 is equal to 1. 2 to the 0 power equals 1. 1.93 to the 0 power equals 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. It's like a definition. All right, next we have a to the x and a to the y being multiplied. That is going to be a to the x times y. You basically just multiply the exponents in that situation. Here, if we had a to the x over a to the y, that's a to the x minus y. You subtract the exponents in that situation. So for instance, if you had a to the third over a to the second, you'd have a to the 3 minus 1, which is, 3 minus 2, which is equal to 1. So you subtract. All right, next, a to the xy, a to the x to the y means a to the xy. Basically, in a situation like this, you multiply the exponents. So if it had been 2 to the third to the fifth, that would be the same as 2 to the 3 times 5 is 15. Yeah, multiply them together. All right, moving on. X plus 3 squared. Oh, so often kids write, oh, x squared plus 9. Wrong. It's actually x plus 3 times x plus 3. And that, that's what squared means, is multiply it by itself. And that means that you have x squared plus, and this is the FOIL thing, first, and then outside, and then inside. It's plus 3x plus 3x plus, and then the last, 3 times 3 is 9. So the first was x squared, the outside, the inside, and the last. And they put it all together, it's x squared plus 6x plus 9. Be careful you don't just jump to the conclusion that it's x squared plus 9, or you'll be missing out on this part right here. Okay, moving on. 3a to the x to the power of 2. The easy mistake here is people just do the 3 and square it and get 9. Sometimes they just forget to do that part. But and then they think they just write the a to the x. But it's a to the x to the second also. All right, so what do you do when you have powers like this? You multiply. So it'd be a to the 2x. Another way to write this would be 3a to the x to the second is you take this part to the second and you take that part to the second. And most people understand 3 to the second is 9. And a to the x to the second, multiply those two together, a to the 2x. All right, moving on. Rewrite square root of a as a to the question mark. All right, well, anything that's a square root of is a fractional power, and that fraction is whatever the power is that or the root that you're taking is. So if I had done square root of a, that's another way to write square root of a, that would be a to the 1/2. So if I wanted the third root of a, that would be a to the 1/3. So if they wanted to write square root of 9, another way to write it would be 9 to the 1/2 power. Okay, so square root, associate that with 1/2 power in your head. All right, moving on. This one, since I talked that other one through pretty thoroughly, this one should work for you. If the last one was a square root of a, well, this is the nth root of a. And so this would be a to the 1 over n. Okay? Next up, we have the same basic idea, except it's being put to the m power. Well, if we know this part right here, a to the nth root is a to the 1 over n, then I can just substitute that right there and then put it to the m. You see how this is identical to this is? I just replaced the nth root of a with a to the 1 over n. And now you might be able to see that that's a to the m over n. So if you want the quick answer, it would just be this part is still on the bottom of the fraction, but now we put this part on the top of the fraction. Okay? So if I had had 6 and I wanted the square root of 6, and then I cube it, and whether I cube it here or here, I think that works either way, I would have 6 to the, instead of 1/2 power, I call it the 3/2 power. All right. So there's another example problem for you on that one. Moving on. Number 34. A to the negative x. Well, a negative in the exponent means that you're going to flip over whatever you had. So if I had just had a to the x, the answer would be a to the x. So if I make it a to the negative x, all it is anything with a negative in the exponent like that puts a 1 over whatever you had. So my answer is 1 over a to the x. All right, so if I had m to the negative y power, well, that's just like m to the y. It's the way I want you to think through it. And then the negative does 1 over, or reciprocal of. So then I put 1 over m to the y. All right. More commonly you see with numbers, let's say I have 2 to the negative third. Then I'd have 2 to the third. And what does that negative do? It puts 1 over it. Okay, so there's another example problem. Or 5 to the negative second power, that's 5 to the second, and the negative puts a 1 over it. All right, moving on. The the nth root of a over b. Well, basically, this is just a fraction in there instead of a number. It's just like the one we did before. Here's my fraction, and then what power should that be? The 1 over n power. Because any root like this, you just put 1 over whatever the root is. Okay, so 1 over n is my power. All right, moving on. Number 36, a to the negative 1. What does that mean? Well, remember what I talked about before with the negative in the power? What that does is just, if you treat this like a to the 1, except the negative tells you to put 1 over that. 1 over a to the 1 would be my answer. Now, that's the same as 1 over a, of course, but a to the 1 is a. All right, now, let's get another one like that just to give you the idea. How about 2 to the negative first power? Well, that's 2 to the first power, and then negative puts 1 over that. Okay, so that would be 1/2. All right, next topic. Oh, hey,